hell, Jason. I'm here to return the favor. I'm feeling strange, trapped in the grave. All alone, I'm riding my own skin. So serious I stay, a choker restraint. The perfect plane laid down my own name. Girls rising. Girls rising. The scars remain, a deeper to see. A blood field, blinded resource. A bitter I cling to the ones that remain. Exile without reason. The time to kill us, we feel this like someone is clear to blow. We're building the power, strengthening the arm. Yeah, building the wall. Welcome to your demonstration.
Well, what's going on, everybody? Here we are, episode 6 of the Spawn Review. Look at us go.
Consistency. I like that.
Yeah. We got I'm here, JMS, Joe Sonntag, everybody's favorite, I'll just say. We also have here the cutest little guy, huh?
SDA.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You're going okay.
Stop. Yeah.
You're going with the initial thing, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm stealing everything you do. Like
I like it. Yeah. And of course the Gooch is here with us again.
Yeah, I'm just going Gooch. Now. That's all I'm doing. I'm just going
straight up Gooch. I like that.
Gooch. Yeah. Straight up.
I love it. Everybody in the chat, please share the stream out whatever platform you're watching it on, and let people know that we're live, and let's get rolling. I'm sure people will start rolling in here a little bit more as we go. I don't know what's going on with Rumble. I lost the ability to stream to Rumble for some odd reason. I'm disconnected, and every time I try to reconnect, it doesn't allow me. So I'm still working on it. So to everybody out there that might be watching over at Rumble and wonder why the last 2 weeks we haven't streamed over there, that is why.
We're not ready to Rumble is what I'm getting at.
We're not ready to Rumble. We're not ready to Rumble. And then we are doing the stream over on Instagram for the first couple times, just see how that goes. It's an experiment to see if anybody actually cares over on that platform. So
sure.
Yeah. Good things. All good things. Yeah. Say hi to the chat. Duck Bacon, although it's not in the shown anymore in the StreamYard, it's been too long, was the first in the chat, first in our hearts. We appreciate you, brother. We got Hail the Lores in the house. We have here on the Steadfast, member of the channel, in the house as well. There's Duck Bacon jumping in.
There he is.
Good to see you, brother. Carbon Dioxide, member of the channel, is here as well. It says Spawn, let's go. I love it. Cosmic Studios, member. What's going on, brother? Good to see you.
Yo.
We also have Michael Pritchard in the house. Hello.
Hello.
There we go.
Adios. G.I. Joe reference.
That's you on vocals, Joe. Yes, there's a song from one of my band back in the day. So we don't get copywritten, right? The whole idea is to put more songs on the show so we're not getting hit with copyright claims and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I got a lot of music. Why not use it? White Eastman's in the house.
Yo.
I also saw JMS meant Joe makes salad.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, someday, we're going to keep the personal life stuff out of it, but I'll let you guys marinate on that for a little bit. Guys, we got the editor-in-chief of Spawn, of Tom McFarlane Productions, on tonight. Who's excited? I'm excited.
I've been excited the whole week or two since we booked it.
Hell yeah.
Just you guys know in the chat, we are going to catch up starting next week with issues 352 and 353. Since we skipped an issue by accident, that was bad counting on my part, but we're going to catch back up with the story and see what's going on next week. But until then, we have the editor-in-chief of Spawn, Thomas Healy, in the house as well. Show. Thomas, how's it going?
Gentlemen, hello.
Good
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for hanging with us. It's going to be awesome.
I feel like I dropped the ball on that. I feel like I should have had an applause. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
There it is. Yes. All right. That was my bad.
I mean, I know you guys are home. I'm actually doing my stuff in front of an audience.
Oh yeah. A live studio audience over there. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. If you guys are interested, that is my band. It's called Mine Enemies Fall. You can go check it out on YouTube. I got a lot of the music up there.
Wait, you were in a band?
I was in a band once. Yeah, back in my cool days. A lot younger, a lot thinner, more hair. So, but now that I'm a little bit older, segued into comic books, which is one of my true loves. So here we are.
Yeah. With
the Spawn review. This was a kind of a concept that I had sparked a while ago because I had been out. Truth being told here, I'd kind of been removed from Spawn for probably about 200 and some odd issues. I stopped reading Spawn after issue 100 when Greg left the book. And that's just because I'm a big fan of artists, right? So if an artist leave, I tend to follow where they go. And if the guy coming in doesn't quite have that spark, even if they're a good artist, sometimes I don't stick around. So I took this giant hiatus until probably about Spawn 300, just because I heard, it was a big thing. Spawn 300, Greg's coming back, Todd's doing some stuff, all these guest artists. Jumped back on the title, followed it for a little bit, then jumped out because Brett started doing Gunslinger. And then I was pretty much just Gunslinger full on until now. Issue 350 hit with Brett doing the main title. And I hit up Sean. I was like, dude, we need to talk about this because this is the first time in a long time that I've been excited, like literally excited for Spawn and to go to the LCSs every month on the new comic day and go get the new issue and then go home and read it. Like it's the first time, and it's awesome because I don't get that a lot with comics in the stores anymore. I do, indie comics are one thing, but I don't get that excitement anymore in the stores. So this is a big deal to me to have Spawn going, the story being fun as hell, having one of my favorite artists drawing the book, and just, again, excitement about it. So we're like, we need to start talking more about Spawn. I want to fill myself in with all the stuff I missed and just kind of be a learning experience as I go. And by the way, let's get some people on to actually run and do the book right now. So you were one of the first names we had in mind when we were doing the show, and it's glad that we can finally get you on the show.
I'm glad to be on here. No, that's great. Like you, I will say I am a huge fan of Brett Booth. Nice. One of my favorite artists of all time. I was an old school Wildstorm guy. Backlash is still one of my favorites. One of my favorite artists.
Yep.
So that when that started, when in the middle of COVID, when we were bumping up, going from one book to let's throw out some ideas for some others. Gunslinger was one of those first characters that Todd's like, I know haven't done a lot with him. He showed up in 119 when Angel Medina does that spread of all the spawns coming to Spawn's aid in hell. And then they did the 2-part story that Brian Haberlin wrote, 174, 175, which was obviously just kind of like it was filling, because they were behind on the regular book. They did War Spawn after that, the World War I Spawn. But like we knew that would be a cool character, so Todd started dropping him into the regular Spawn title, and we brought him back due to the time rift. But then at that point, we're like, who can we get for things? And I went, well, I'm a huge Brett Booth fan. And I remember it, and Todd and Brett have such a great relationship, but at the time they hadn't seen each other in years. And he's like, isn't that kid that worked for Jim? I'm like, yeah, he's that kid that worked for Jim Lee back in the day. But, he's got a career now. He's probably arguably one of DC's best artists. And he had just wrapped up his run in Flash. So we reached out and we did it. And, he had a solid, he ran Gunslinger for almost 30 issues.
Yeah.
And, it was just solid. And it was just time, for some of the artists who want to keep them excited about stuff. So he was saying, I'd be interested in doing Spawn. And I really liked Carlo's Gunslinger when he was in the main Spawn title. So I was like, maybe we swap them back and forth. But Todd and Brett working on a book is an editor's nightmare.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, everyone thinks they know how comic books are made, and you write a full detailed script that describes everything on the page, and that gets sent to the artist, and then maybe there's a little bit of back and forth to determine the look. No. That's how a lot of books are. That's probably how most Marvel and DC books. And Todd admits this. He said this in an interview before. He goes, Thomas is driven up the wall by how he books. So I'll be like, we just wrapped up Gunslinger 9. I need you to get Brett plot for 10. Otherwise, he's not working. We need him working. We need him turning out pages. So we go, hold on. He calls him up on the phone, puts him on speaker. Brett, it's Todd Thomas. What do you want to draw this month? And if you've read Gunslinger, you're going to know this exactly what this issue is. He goes, what are you going to draw this month? And Brett goes, I don't know. Can I draw like a werewolf? But it's like Frankenstein werewolf with different body parts all sewn together. And Todd goes, yeah, sure. Give me 2 pages. Give me 2 pages of Gunslinger at night walking through the woods, and then he gets attacked, do a splash page of the monster, 5 pages of fighting, and then 2 more pages of Gunslinger getting away. And he looks at me and goes, there you go. Brett's got 11 pages of plot right there. Brett, I'll talk to you later. And then he's like, hey, and Todd goes, type that up, put that in an email so I remember what that was.
Dude, that's awesome.
So I literally
love that.
how the 2 of them work. He just call him up, Brett, what do you want to draw? Honestly, most of the time, dinosaurs.
Right?
How are we going to fit dinosaurs into this book? Well, we had a villain whose lair was in the middle of a dinosaur museum.
Yeah.
And then when he created Clown's daughter, Dakota, he's like, can I make her a dinosaur themed villain? So we're like, all right, Brett, what the hell? Go for it. What the hell? And then he was like, but I'm not going to make the dinosaurs look like they do in the movies. They're going to look legit.
Yeah, of course.
Like really look.
Knowing Brett, he's like, yo, boom.
Yeah.
The way that,
they might have feathers. They're not going to look like, I'm not going to have like regular dinosaurs from like Jurassic Park type. But that's it. So I'm sorry to segue, but it's a fun
No, that's awesome.
I know you're a huge Brett fan.
It's so funny you said that.
Yeah.
Because
it was a
like
bucket
me and
list.
Sean were talking about that.
Yeah.
And it was just a bucket list. I'm like, I want to work with Brett in my life at least once because I've just been a huge fan, and now I get to talk to the guy all the time, and we just, hey Brett, you want to do a cover? Like, sure, okay. It's phenomenal.
That is awesome. Just one, I love hearing that story of just how the issues come together. It kind of reminds me of like old school, of like Kirby and Stan Lee and stuff like that, just putting something together and
exactly
putting the issue out. And I guess you never notice it too, because like when you're reading it, it just seems like there's a good solid plan from issue to issue as they're telling the story. And I like that. Like that gave me a lot of joy just hearing that little behind the scenes story there.
Oh yeah. Now Todd's books are Todd's books. He gets to do that. Rory's and Rory McConville and John Layman's books, they're a little bit tighter. They're sending me in plots ahead of time. I read over that stuff. I know that gets to go, oh, we can't use that character. We're doing something special with them over here, or Rory already has this guy going over here, John, so you need to do a different thing. Or they just come up with these great ideas, and one of the big ideas that we all kind of came up with was, what if they all lose their powers? And that's kind of where we spun out of 350 from. It was like, what can we do to shake this up? It's a huge anniversary issue. We wanted to do something fun, and the fact of the new throne bearer in hell, just kind of kicking them out, and all of the war that was happening causing these problems. It became an interesting way. And the other thing I was kind of pitching was, it's a great way of us bringing some of our side characters and giving them a little bit more screen time, because the Spawns won't have powers, the Angels won't have powers, but Focus will still have powers. You know what I mean? Characters like that, characters that are on the side. Haunt still obviously has powers. He's playing a big role in Scorched right now. Is kind of like their muscle. So it gives us a good way of focusing on that, and you're going to see a little bit more of that leading into it. But it was a great way to bring back a lot of characters that fans were clamoring for.
What I liked about the direction that Spawn went after 350 with the lack of powers, I feel like it definitely was nice after 350 issues of the book to do something really, really different. Like there could have been so many different directions you guys went with whoever the new ruler of hell was, whatever it led to, and it probably would all been really good. But this kind of more grounded version of Spawn, and we were talking about this with Brett last week, it's got a much more of like a kind of like this detective aspect of trying to figure out something that's going on, more of a Batman style feel to it. And it just gives Spawn a completely different feel. It's fresh, but it still feels like Spawn. And then Brett obviously is killing it on the pencils and everything. So like, to me, I think that was the most exciting. Like I was like, oh shit, they're going this direction. Yeah. Like this is good. This is going to be fun. This is going to be really cool.
And that started as like, okay, let's do this for 3 months. Okay, maybe we do it for 6 months. And then finally Todd's like, I have an idea of where I want to take King Spawn. We should do this for at least a year.
Yeah, there you go.
And because again, we didn't want it to be like this blip. And then I think what sold us all on it was when Todd goes, hey Brett, so because I had to tell everyone, I was like, Spawn can't look like Spawn though. And they're like, why not? I'm like, because yes, Al Simmons is a well in shape gentleman, but he can't carry around 40 pounds of chains and 30 pounds of cape.
Yeah. Right.
And what is he just going to be jingling? It's like he needs to update it. And we went back and forth on, are we actually going to show him like cutting his suit up to make it more. It's like, no, we really don't. We can jump forward a month and just say, okay,
Right.
he's figured out a better way to utilize the suit, because the suit still exists.
Mhm.
It's inert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's still there. So maybe it provides a little bit of protection compared to like a t-shirt and jeans, but
Sure.
he had to cut that up a little bit, and parts of it had to be taken away. And then when we got the first, and so we were like, Brett, when you're taking over, you've got to come up with this look for Spawn. And then we got that first page in which Spawn has the new costume, and we all went, oh my God, that is incredible. He nailed it. And that just sold us, like, we're going to be able to keep the fans excited about this book. Because he doesn't look like the old Spawn, but he still looks like Spawn.
Mm-hmm.
And the look on
absolutely.
that is just incredible. And Brett did such a good job. And man, I'm not going to wood every day that we make an action figure of that.
I think too, like it's a testament to Brett as an artist, because I don't necessarily know if that approach would have worked with every artist out there that would have been on the book. I mean, it's still a cool concept, but because it was married to a guy like Brett that has awesome character designs and just the feel for his sequential storytelling and everything, I think it was just the best combination at the right time, which is sparked a lot of excitement as far as I can see amongst all Spawn fans, including myself, a longtime Spawn fan that was kind of like in and out for various reasons, so like it's just, we were talking a lot about the costume design last week with Brett about it, and it's just I'm really digging it. Jay, you wanted to come on the show for a while and actually be a part of it because I know you're a huge Spawn fan. I know we haven't talked very much because this is only your second show being on, I think, but like Thomas talks about the first time he saw that page. We all know what page that was because the first time we saw it in the comic, we all had the same reaction too, with Spawn, in that costume for the first time. Like what did you think as a longtime reader, lover of this character?
Well, I like I mentioned last week, when that came out, it hit at the right moment because Doom 2 came out, and they had the same kind of shawl kind of look, where that scarf kind of look, and the way Spawn looked, it looked very modern, it looked fresh, he looked kick-ass. He looked like Boba Fett walking in into the bar. Like he just looked like a character. You're like, okay, this guy means business. I'm ready. I'm ready to read whatever he's. And then like I mentioned to Brett last week and to you guys, like that scene in the bar when I think he was with Caliban. It was Caliban, where they're talking.
Eric Roberts.
Eric Roberts.
Eric Roberts. Yeah.
We'll explain that in a second if you didn't know, Thomas.
It looked. Oh,
I know. No, that is Eric Roberts, 100%.
Okay.
All right. It looked like Han Solo with Guido, and I was just like, holy! I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that's an awesome scene that they're kind of. And I asked Brett if that was a reference, and he said that was unintentional, but he totally sees it now. There's a lot of scenes in these books. There have slight references to movies and TV that just fit so well in these books. It's amazing. I'm just like, I'm loving everything about it. The colors, I can't remember who does the colors, but they're so vibrant and setting the tones for the book as well. You've got such a gritty feel to the books. Like it's hitting all the marks.
Colors in Spawn, it's J. David Ramos.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. But he's hitting all the marks. Like everything that's happening right now, like Joe mentioned it perfectly. I'm super excited to go to my LCS and get Spawn books. It's just like I got that. I felt like I was like when I was a kid going to get Spawn. I got the same vibe going on right now, and I'm like 50 some odd years old, and I'm like feeling like a little kid going to the comic shop. So
that's awesome.
Bravo to you guys.
Excited to hear that, man. I'm excited to hear that.
I know you said that Brett's got his, or Todd's got his kind of way that he plots and does things, and that's the way he does it. How far in advance? I know you guys are talking about doing this whole storyline at least for a year. Like how far in advance do you actually have things like well mapped out and then just like thought out? Like this is the direction we're going. Because as storytellers ourselves, first timers trying to get better at telling stories and mapping out where we want to go, I'm interested in seeing how you do that behind the scenes.
So for the core books, the four, Spawn, King Spawn, Scorched, and Gunslinger, between myself and Rory McConville and John Layman, we know where that's ending up in a year out.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Todd and if you really dissect the books that Todd writes, like Spawn, King Spawn, and Gunslinger, they all have the effects of what's going on in the world, but Todd really kind of tells his own story. Todd just gets to do his own kind of thing, where you might see a little bit more connection between Spawn and Scorched. Simply because like we're all on a group chat. So Rory's like, hey, I want to do this with this character. What do you think, John? And John's like, oh, cool. I'll make a reference to that in Scorched whenever you want me to. That way, it crosses over and people are aware that, we're acknowledging that kind of thing. Todd writes issue to issue basically, which is a little terrifying. Because there's times where I read through the plot and I go, no, you can't do that. This happened over here, or this person over here did that. You can't do that. Oh, okay, no worries. He's just got no things on his plate. His primary job is CEO of many companies, not specifically comic writer.
Right.
But between the four of us, we kind of get it all kind of wrapped up and together fairly easily. It's not so hard, and I see people complain like, "What's the actual reading order month?" There isn't. We're not trying to lean so far into continuity where we can't be a little flexible.
Nice. Okay.
So, is there a general continuity of the universe? Absolutely. If She-Spawn loses an arm in Scorched, the next time she shows up in Gunslinger, she should hopefully not have that arm.
Right.
But we're not going like, oh well, when did this happen? Should I read King Spawn before I read Gunslinger this month? Doesn't matter. Just enjoy it. It's just interesting. It's just comic books. It's just.
I love that.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people. I go to the Spawn Reddit a lot. I'm on there a lot. I comment and talk to people on that a lot. And I see a lot of people like, oh, I just started. I think I want to get into Spawn. Do I have to start an issue 1? It's like, I've only ever seen that really ask for Spawn. Nobody goes, I really want to get into Spider-Man because I like the movies. Should I start with issue 1?
Right.
Right.
Are you going to go back and read? You don't need to read all 350 issues. It's a comic book. Just pick it up and enjoy it. There will be things you don't understand, and then you can hunt down. You go to places like Spawn World, and you can see the lore, and you can get it broken down. But I just want people to enjoy it. Like, we always have good starting points. So prior to 300, or if you're leading up to 300, I would say 296, 297. That's the starting point for everybody, because that's the 2-issue synopsis that they were like, this is explaining everything between issue 1 to now. And now here's issue 300. And then after that, where we hit Spawn's Universe number 1, when that dropped. So that was about the Spawn in the teens, 3 teens, something. And now I would say Spawn 350 is the next good starting point.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, and makes it really easy too. I mean, I even remember when I was a kid, the first time I got into Spider-Man and started actually buying Spider-Man books. I wasn't worried about trying to find Spider-Man 1. I just jumped into the story that was then and started just enjoying it. And eventually, I would go back and kind of look for certain stuff here or there that was classic stories. I think that should be the way it is with every comic, where you don't have to necessarily go all the way back to the beginning, to understand what's going on. Like, hopefully you do eventually because you love it, but it's not required.
Yeah, I mean, if I could jump into comics starting out with late 80s X-Men and understand what was going on, then anybody could jump into Spawn.
Right.
Because that was some deep, weird stuff at that point.
Yeah.
But yes, I just don't want people to think too hard about it. Just enjoy it. There is no reading order. We try to keep the continuity, but after 350 plus issues, yes, there's times where we've had to change something.
Right.
And it's just the way it is. It wasn't forgotten. It was, you know what I'm saying? It was changed. Our continuity has to be flexible in order to continue to tell stories. And I like to point out to people, it's like, Spawn has not been Spawn in the universe. Al has not been Spawn since 1992. The comic has been around since 1992, but he has not been Spawn for 30 years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he's been Spawn for between 5 and 10 years.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Iron Man was Iron Man starting in the Korean War. Then it was the Vietnam War. Then it was the Gulf War. Then it was a random terrorist attack. They've had to use that sliding scale because, again, Spawn hasn't been Spawn in that universe for 30 years.
Right.
Even though we've had 30 years worth of comics. So you kind of have to be understandably a little bit flexible with your definition of what the hard continuity is. Is he ever not going to be married to Wanda? No, that continuity is not going to change. That kind of stuff.
Right.
But sometimes character origins, relationships, first time meeting people, that has to be adjustable. And then the fact that we've got so many new writers coming on board that are wanting to tell stories, that we don't want to shackle them. We don't want to be like, oh, you can't tell that because it was mentioned once in issue 12.
Right. Yeah.
And so we're not gonna even acknowledge that storyline. No, we have to let that tell some stories.
Well, I think that's got to be interesting, especially Spawn being an independent book, in Image. In the beginning, it was just like Todd for the longest time, and he'd have guest writers here or there, but he's just kind of going wherever his imagination is taking him and taking the story. And I feel like once you kind of get later on in the series and you get more writers coming on, like you're saying, like you coming on as editor-in-chief, and everything coming together and being this bigger thing, you could probably go back in those 300 some odd issues beforehand or 200 some odd issues and find little continuity errors all over the place. It's not intentional. It's just, I would assume it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way it is. In some, again, it's because a line was written for an issue, and it might have gotten forgotten. And sometimes it was stuff that we literally had to change, for the sake of the story.
Yeah. Sure. Got Rick Saylor in the house, member of the channel. What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
What's up, Rick?
Okay, so we were talking before we went live. I just saw a couple hours ago Todd drop in the news that there is a Violator series or mini series. Yes. I can't remember what he said. In the works here. It's going to be coming out here pretty soon. What's that all about? What can we look forward to with
that? Violator miniseries written by Mark Andreyko. Great writer, has written for us before and has written some incredible comics for some other companies. If you're if you like other companies, other company comics, but yeah, an incredible writer, and he came to us with this idea of telling the origin story of Violator, and this news dropped, and I've seen it, and it's six issues. They're all almost triple size, so people are going to see the price point on this, and they're going to wait $5.99 for a Spawn book. Yeah, these are like 56-page books.
Wow, yeah,
because each one is its own story. They take place 6 different times through the point of the Violator's life, all done by 6 different artists.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it starts off with him, like his true origin, and it ends in roughly present day. I don't want to give too much of the story away, but
right, yeah.
What's really interesting about that, and again, this kind of loops back into our continuity story, is somebody. Well, we already have the origin of the Violator. Alan Moore wrote it in the Violator 3-issue mini. I've read it. It's great. It's a great miniseries.
Right. Yeah.
But we're kind of pitching it, and if you look and you read the solicit, I literally wrote the solicit to say, this is the most unbelievable story in all human history, told by the world's most unreliable narrator. Because it's the Violator, it's the clown. We've had this story before when the clown, I don't know if you remember, I can't remember the issue, but there was an issue where the clown meets these 2 kids in the alley, and he's telling them the story about how he killed medieval Spawn.
Yes.
And then when you see the story, it's not that way at all. Medieval Spawn beheads him. Again, he's not the most reliable narrator. This story is being told by him. So
I like that.
Does it change continuity? Perhaps, because we'll see what people do in the future with it. Is it because we just didn't know what we were doing and ignored stuff? Not at all. We have these conversations. But this is just an expansion on some of these characters' origins that never really, really got fleshed out too specifically. And this is going to be incredible. And we've got some amazing artists, Cully Hamner, Jonathan Wayshak, Giancarlo Bonacorsi from Italy, Von Randall, who has done some issues for us before. Kyle Hotz. Kyle Hotz pages is doing it.
Wow.
I think for the press release, I'll spoil this. I think for the press release, it actually showed his cover, and he's doing Viking Age Spawn.
Oh yeah,
so he's doing he specifically was like, can I do the guy? And can I have the horn broken and the necroplasm steaming out of it? I'm like, absolutely. So he's doing that era of stuff. And I won't spoil what the rest of the time periods of the eras are. because I don't think that's public yet. We're going to wait for Mark to kind of do that, but you'll see a big information about that at San Diego Comic-Con, and that book hits in August. So that's
I think
that'll be a big deal for us.
I think that's kind of cool to be. I didn't realize it was the origin, like from his point of view, but I like that concept because it's kind of like keeps the mystery of his actual origin, almost like the Joker in the Batman ethos.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like it's a different. It could be a different, origin each time. But yeah, I think the issues you were referencing, what was that, 13 and 14 or 14 and 15?
Yeah, I think so.
One of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you said that, I was like, okay, I got an exact idea what this is, what the series is gonna be like. That sounds really cool. That sounds really cool.
I have a question, a two-parter actually. So I know when we talked at SpawnCon and when you were on my channel, you talked about the Spawn universe being expanded and even more. It's going to be kind of constantly growing. Are we going to see a lot more introduction as we move along throughout the year or the next 2 years? And the second part, because of the success of X-Men 97, is there plans ever, if you can release of Spawn series, animated series ever being released, a new version?
Yeah, I know we've got that question a lot. That was I think that's I think the quality of X-Men 97 and the fan love for that, I think, surprised everybody. But yes, I would love to see more Spawn animated stuff. There is going to be, leading into con season here, I think some more announcements from Todd on the media front that I will leave to him to address that. I think there's probably going to be some big exciting news that a lot of people were not anticipating at San Diego. So
now,
go ahead, Sean.
You guys are you're going to release volume 3 of the Vaults, the Greg Capullo stuff. Are you going to reprint 1 and 2?
I think we're in talks for that right now. I would say probably, but it'll still be a very small print run because those are incredibly expensive to produce.
Sure, yeah.
But I think we will probably, since those were all Todd's art, we'll probably go back and print those.
And one more thing, maybe about a month ago, Todd was on a podcast interview, and he's like he would like to dive into other people's runs, maybe Brett's from Gunslinger or whomever. So is that still conversation-wise?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm the biggest proponent of, can we get an oversized vault edition of Brett's Gunslinger?
Oh, dude.
Now again, it's not every page, but it's all curated. But Brett's pencils, and I think it would be even cool to salt it in. I mean, I guess it's mostly all pencil work, but some of Adelso's inks over some of those.
Adelso's
gorgeous.
That's my guy. Yep.
Take my money. Take my money.
Yeah, but Brett's pencils are so tight, and you can't. And it's not a discredit to the artist. Some artists you just can't do it to because their pencils aren't tight enough. And it's like even with scans and darkening, I still can't really see a lot on this page. Yeah. Brett's almost turning in finished ink style pencils.
Right.
He's just doing them in pencil. But yeah, so I'm definitely pushing for that to be on the slate of books coming out, probably 2025 at some point.
Oh, dude,
cool.
I mean, as far as art collectors go, I mean, that's awesome news. Yeah, man, I missed the first 2 Vault editions.
Same.
And I jumped on the Capullo one when the pre-order came up, so I grabbed the pre-order of that. But yeah, I'd definitely be in to try to get the reprint, and then I absolutely do it, Brett, because I don't think there's really been anything that has showcased Brett's art like that in that kind of form of any time in his career that I can think of. So it would be a unique thing. It'd be a very unique thing with
and to be in full size is just
incredible.
Like another one, and I could see it behind you, Joe, is Todd's Spider-Man.
Yeah,
over your corner, and I like that because I bought a copy of that. I was like, hey man, I don't ask you to sign stuff, but this is fanboy me. Can you sign this? And he was showing me, if you go through the book, the pages don't all fit the same size.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Like, did they do it? Did you know why?
No, I had.
Typically, everybody's like, everyone uses 11 by 17. So, but that book is bigger than 11 by 17.
Right.
Because at one point in his career, when he was doing Spider-Man, Todd went up to 18 by 20.
Oh, I did not know that.
So the pages in that book that go to the edge of each page, with zero bleed, those are the full size pages that he was doing at that time.
Oh, right.
So they were large than 11 by 17. And then at some point he was also doing just 11 by 17 when he couldn't get that paper. So they didn't want to shrink the 18 by 20 pages.
Gotcha.
So the 11 by 17 ones kind of fit in there. But the ones that are full edge to edge, that's actually the size he was drawing.
Okay, well, I'm glad you filled that in, because that was the first thing I noticed when I was looking through that edition.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great. You know, I love seeing the raw art of Todd throughout the Spider-Man run. But I kept looking at that. I'm like, why? I was like, this is a very odd printing choice that they did it. That makes perfect sense.
I didn't know, because I'm looking at like, I wouldn't. What is this? But yeah, he was like, no, this is why. So that was it. But to get back to your two-part question, I'm sorry, we totally tangented into Spider-Man.
That's what we do here.
For the Spawn world, yes, we're going to see more stuff coming out. I made the big announcement last year at New York Comic Con that had most of the stuff that we were working on. Some of it is going to be, it won't hit probably till 2025. Certain books like Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn. That's Jimmy Palmiotti's book with Patrick Reynolds.
Yes.
Very excited for that. So what that is we really wanted Patrick on this book. I think his style works really good for it. But Patrick is not really a monthly guy. He's not like Carlo or Hobby that can bang out, like 20 pages sitting on their heads in a month without an issue. He's like, I need like 5 or 6 weeks. So what we're doing is we're letting him get several issues ahead before we solicit it. That way he's got some time to sit, and then he can pull back a little bit. So we're just waiting to actually announce it. But like, there's 5 issues done already of that. So that's not a book that's been shelved or anything. Somebody's like, oh, it hasn't come out. You guys said it's going to be out. We're just waiting because we don't want to delay it at all. So when that book actually hits the ground running, there won't be any delays or any stops. So that's coming up. And the other thing is, I know a lot of people are getting freaked out. Like, there's too much. A lot of what we're doing are miniseries. Monolith is miniseries.
Okay.
Misery miniseries. Sandwich Witch is ongoing. Rat City ongoing. But the Evil Spawn one could be miniseries. Obviously, Violator. Deadly Tales is on. And then the other book I'm excited about is No Home Here by Jonathan Glapion and Dan.
I've been seeing a lot of stuff.
That'll be ongoing. And we're trying something different with that. We're going, again, Todd is a fan of old comics. He's a fan of the old, like Marvel 2-in-1s and Marvel Comics Presents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we were just trying to come up, what can we do different format? So we're going to try that one again. We're not trying to inundate the market. We're not trying to steal everybody's money where you guys don't have money for other things. So one of the things that we're trying to do is kind of, how can we spread stuff out? So No Home Here is actually going to be a bi-monthly book.
Nice.
It'll still be a $2.99 20-pager, just like our regular books, but that'll just be bi-monthly. Because the story that they're telling is set in the current mainstream Spawn universe.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really have a lot of crossover with any of the other books, simply because of the story it's telling.
Gotcha.
So there wasn't a worry that it's going to get too far behind the other books. So we'll do that one bi-monthly, and that saves you a little bit on your wallet if there's a mini series that's coming out that month as well.
I love that approach. One, shout out to you guys for keeping the prices around $2.99 for the books and having good quality books. That's another thing too. There's other companies out there that their new books are very like tissue paper feeling.
Yeah.
They don't even feel good anymore. So shout out to keeping them cheaper. That is awesome. And yeah, I mean, a lot of titles coming out, but what I like about it is I was a huge fan of Image coming up, just in general. Like, I was a teenager in the 90s, and I was 12 years old when Image was really, or I was 10 years old, sorry, when Image started, and 12 when I kind of really got into it. And I miss just the amount of stuff of the universe that came out from Image. And obviously a lot of the superhero universe of Image is gone because of certain creators, this or that, all that kind of stuff. So Todd coming out and doing his very own universe at the time, trust me, when I saw it, I was just like, how is he going to make Spawn this universe, and have it really hold up? So far, you guys have done it. You've had interesting books come out, and I like the fact that you're getting one shots, you're getting miniseries, things that give you something new, but don't put you in for the long haul for this, like you said, taking too much money out of the bank account. So I think it's awesome. Keep doing what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're going through when we talk to new writers. And I've seen Todd do this a few times, especially if we're on a Zoom like this. He'll be like, when I started Spawn, right here, that's Spawn. This is all the stuff. This is the war with heaven and hell. This is Spawn. This is the angels. This is the demons. The rest of this world I haven't explained. What's happening over here? you guys write that. What's happening in that part of the Spawn universe doesn't have to be tied to the war. Doesn't have to be tied to Hellspawns. They can exist. You can see them in that background. But what else is happening? And that's why, like for Sam and Twitch, they've always shown up with Spawn. They've always in King Spawn, they played a big part at the end of a couple of the King Spawn arcs. But you're not really going to see Spawn in the Sam and Twitch case files book because that's really just about them being cops. Now, are they going to be dealing with the weird and the bizarre and the crazy cases? Sure, because that's just their luck.
Right.
But it's not really going to be with them interacting with Spawn at all. It's just them doing cop shit and taking care of that business. We've got that book Focus that's going to be coming out, and that's going to be kind of like our first true superhero book. That's a dude who has superpowers. He's not tied to heaven or hell or anything along those lines, man. He's just a dude that's got superpowers. He's a speedster, and he's a character that Brett designed.
I was just going to say,
because he was in. He designed him for. He designed him for that. But we'll be doing a book, and that's just dealing with. He ran into Gunslinger at that one point in time, but it's just going to be dealing with this guy's journey and what he's dealing with and what having powers means in this world. Because so far for 300 plus issues, almost everything has really kind of been circling around Al Simmons.
Right.
He's the focus. And now with what happens in 301 and 300 with the explosion and now 350, he's still the catalyst for a lot of things, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's involved in any way. And you'll see that if you read through it, when you start reading through the Monolith thing, it's like how he affected how basically an alien got to Earth. Yeah. And you're going to find out that story, but without him being directly involved in it. So that's kind of what we're doing. And we're working on introducing what we feel are cool, creative teams that hopefully surprise you that they're working on Spawn. That was when we did a couple of years ago, I think 2 years ago, we did the artist spotlight, and every cover A was the same artist. And we started announcing people, and people were like, oh, they're going to be getting Greg Capullo covers and J. Scott Campbell covers. It's and Tom was like, I get all those guys. I'm like, I don't want to have anybody that's ever going to cover for us. That should be the point of this. So we had people like David Mack and Dan Panosian and Simone Bianchi. People are freaking out. I never thought I'd see a David Mack Spawn cover. And it was great because I got to walk up to these guys at San Diego, like, hey, David Mack, do you want to do a Spawn cover? And he's like, wait, what? Are you serious? I would kill to do a Spawn cover. I never thought I'd ever work with Todd. And so it's just bringing in more people like that, more creative. So we've got some teams which have not been announced yet. We'll probably be announcing it at San Diego. And it's going to be some artists and some writers that I think people are going to holy shit, I never thought this would happen. This is not what I would expect. And it's because we've got a good team of comic fans working there, so we can get to people and go, Todd, read this, check this out. So
yeah, I think it's keeping it exciting, altogether. Yeah, it just, besides the main title where I'm predominantly reading and following because of Brett, and just I enjoy that story, the overall expansion of the universe is as creators here, as independent creators on the show, thinking of our own story and expanding our own kind of characters and universes and what we can do. It just makes me excited to hear that Todd was going that direction with everything. And now here we are, how many years later from when the Spawn universe was first announced? What was that, around three something? Now we're here at 353. And and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And titles like Rat City and all this kind of stuff just popping up. And it's pretty cool to see. I really enjoy it. It's again, because Image, in my opinion, no offense to anybody, isn't really doing anything for what I loved Image to be back in the day. So Spawn universe has kind of replaced the entire Image universe as far as the excitement, new characters, all that, or new concepts and all that kind of stuff that I was getting from back in the day with Image. So shout out to Todd for that.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I mean, obviously the focus of Image has certainly changed quite a bit when they all have that kind of shared universe, and now it's more of a place where they just support creator-owned stuff. It's a great place if you want to publish comics.
For sure.
It's surprising. When I started here, there were a few big names. Brian K. Vaughan was doing Saga, but and there was plenty of big name homegrown Image talent like Robert Kirkman. But the people that did other stuff outside of Image, Saga was probably the biggest, book that you go with. Brian K. Vaughan's also doing this and this over Marvel. But now you have huge names from both Marvel and DC that are like part of their executive team, but they're still like, but here's my image book. Right. So, I mean, obviously there's a reason they're all coming over there. The whole thing with Ghost Machine was huge.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
that was exciting.
So, I mean, these are all huge name Marvel DC creators that it's like, oh yeah, we'll still do our Marvel DC stuff, but this is our passion project. So you kind of go, okay, I want to see what they want to do. Yeah. Like, I get that he can do XYZ character at Marvel, but I want to see what he wants to do. Right. And this is where you're going to get that. But yeah, so I say this internally quite a bit when we're chatting with some of the teams. It's like, this is what we want. We want this old school image feel. Again, there was continuity between that, but you didn't have to worry if you read Wetworks and you picked up the issue of Savage Dragon.
Right.
Which one do you read first? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If there's a crossover, we'll let you know. You see my little editorial notes in the books with a little asterisk saying, hey, you don't know what I'm talking about. Check out this issue.
Yep.
So we do that. But overall, we are expanding the universe. Rat City, I think, is a perfect example of just a perfect storm of having a creator that came to us with a really cool idea that was well outside the box of anything we were thinking of internally. And then teaming up with an artist who just got the assignment. Jay Carlos got it.
Very talented.
This is what we want to do. And he was also a big cyberpunk fan. I'm like, I picture Cyberpunk the game. And then he said to me, he goes, and he doesn't really speak very good English, so we use a translator who speaks Portuguese. And he's like, have you seen the show Altered Carbon? I'm like, yes, I love Altered Carbon. He goes, I want to draw that. I'm like, you're our guy. You're our guy.
Hell yeah. Yep.
So the two of them, they just work so well. And then Jay Ramos on colors for that book as well. So issue 2 should be dropping either last week or this week, maybe. So
issue 2 just came out.
Two's out. Yeah, two came out already.
Yeah. That should really get the ball rolling for the fans. Because again, you got a little bit of setup in that first issue. Yep. And now you're like, okay, we're jumping into it. Boom. Here's your guy. Here's your protagonist of this story. We're not even calling him Spawn. He doesn't know what Spawn is. There's not even really angels and demons in this. It's a corporation. It's just, evil corporations, and capitalism is bad. It's just that kind of like dirty future story. So I think that's going to do really, really well. I'm very, very into that book quite a bit.
Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, I was just going to say, the thing I wanted to touch on earlier is that the thing I love most about Spawn is like, we spent years, if not maybe decade, of Spawn, not wanting to, sit on the throne, and, back and forth of, the stories and everything like that. And then the opportunity arises because it's good for everyone, for him to actually take the throne. And it's not even him that actually sits on the throne at the end. It's a whole reset. So like all these years of following the story, and then we're back at square one, I think is just brilliant. Like, I think it's so well done. DC and Marvel, they have their stories like and like stories that we love, like the Uncanny X-Men in the 70s and 80s, and all Claremont and DC with Batman and everything. I don't think they've captured like any kind of resets of the way you guys just did. I like it, the way you did it. It was something really special about it. It was like, you guys like pat yourselves on the back, because I didn't know how it was going to play out when I was reading the books, and the way you went about it just made me more excited. And that's very, very rare, if not ever done. So I just wanted to say that. I give you a huge applause for that, because it was something really special.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was leading into 350 and the whole who's going to take the throne. There were a lot of conversations. There was a lot of pitches from everybody. Me, Todd, Sean, John, everybody had their ideas of who it could be and why. And we just slowly started narrowing it down to being who could it make the most sense, but then who then would make it the most interesting for the future. Mm-hmm. And, when Rory was writing and he wanted to come up with a character that was, when he took over Spawn, he's like, I want to come up with a character that's going to be kind of like the Avatar for Green Wolf. we've got the Hell Spawns, we've got the Angels, and who's the avatar for Green World? And he was going to come up with a new character, and I was like, oh, what about Nyx? She didn't appear in a ton of issues, but she is a fan favorite for sure.
Yeah.
And so we came up with the concept of her coming back, and she's not a Spawn anymore, obviously, but she's even kind of more powerful, I would argue, because she's, getting her power directly from Gaia, Mother Nature herself. And so that was really cool. And then it worked out where we were able to bring Jim Downing back in an interesting role, and not just have him be like, B-level Spawn again. And bringing back characters like Heap and stuff like that, we was able to bring some of these characters back, and just they're not really against Spawn, but they're not working for Spawn, and it's kind of like just they're the nuns in Catholic school that have the ruler. When Spawn does something wrong, they show up and smack him on the hand. But then when leading into 350, I was like, I like the idea of Nyx, and of course we thought about the obvious ones, like what if it's Wanda?
Right, yep.
But Todd really, yes, she shows up every once in a while, but Todd really is one of those guys. It's like Uncle Ben should stay dead, and Wanda should stay
makes
dead.
sense. Yep, makes sense.
I mean, there are certain deaths that should just have happened. I was one of those guys for Jason Todd for many, many years, but I can't help I really enjoy where they went with finally. I mean, I kind of like
it. Yeah.
But Uncle Ben, he stays dead and Wanda stays dead. So we kind of nixed that, pardon the pun, pretty quickly. But there were several others, but I think Nyx was the best one. And then again, you go, Brett, here's this character, and she's going to be sitting on the throne of hell. Can you design a new look for her? And the first thing we see is the splash page. That was the first page he turned in of that issue. And we're like, there it is. And then we did something which I think a lot of people complained about, was like, here it is. Here's the new ruler of hell, Nyx. It's a character we all love. Got a new look. What are her powers going to be? We're going to lock her away for a year. You're not even going to see her.
She's going to be gone that long. Nice.
Well, they're all cut off from hell.
That's true.
Sure.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Now that we know you're going 12 issues with that.
Yeah. And it's kind of the thing where time in hell works a little different. So when they finally get back to her, how long has she been there? How long has she controlled? So we'll see what happens. It should be fairly exciting.
That's gonna be interesting.
I'm sorry, like what Jay was saying and what Joe's been saying. Like, I have been so excited for Spawn. Like, I've been collecting since Jump Street. I always collected it. I stopped reading after Philip Tan first time years ago. Flirted with the books because I bought them and I didn't want to waste my money. But then it just was my shit, and I was so excited from 300 to what we're doing 350 that like I'm making my board like who's going to have the throne. I'm like, oh, maybe it's Wanda, maybe it's. I always thought it was Nyx, and Joe read 350 before me, so I didn't get a chance to go to the store. And he was about to tell me, but I was such a Diana Ross. So I was like, stop. Don't you dare utter another effing word. But he's like, all right, who do you think? And I threw out my options, and he, there's a glimmer in his eye. And then when I read it, like the first thing I did was like, I was right. And the payoff was so good. And every month, every week, it seems like the payoff you guys are giving us.
Yeah.
Like, it's so awesome. Like Jay said, pat yourself on the back. Like, you guys are making comic books fun. Like, you guys are independent, but you're mainstream independent, if that makes sense. And it's well worth spending my money and being invested in these characters week after week. And whatever you guys are doing, keep doing it. I'm there. I've been there since I was 10. I'm going to be there till my last breath. Like, I love what you guys do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're trying. That is one of my philosophies. I want comics to be fun. Mm-hmm. I like any kind of comic. I like to pick up weird stuff. I know you guys do a lot of like independent stuff, create your own stuff. I like stuff like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. I like stuff like mainstream Moon Knight. I like stuff Invisibles. I like a lot of different things. And I want somebody to pick up a book. And again, we're trying to keep them at $2.99. Hoping we can keep this for as long as I'm at the helm here. Costs keep going up, but right now we're still committing to that. Again, certainly over, like we were talking about with Violator, oversized books. Obviously, we just have to make that concession.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But our ongoing monthly 20 pages, no ads in between your pages. You're getting a full issue. $2.99. Anybody should be able to walk into that book and just pick it up and just flip it open and read it. And that's what I want. And sometimes, and Todd still had, he's this is his passion. This is his baby. Spawn is one of his children for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So he has a very serious kind of look at like what we should be doing and whatnot. But every once in a while I get it. I get you want this to be serious. Sometimes it could just be fun.
Right.
Sometimes we could just do something that's fun, and it doesn't have to be like this life lesson or anything like that. And then when you get stuff like Spawn Kills Every Spawn, that's going to be coming out by John Mason. So if you've read Chew, you know the humor that he has.
Nice.
Right.
So it's just going to be this ridiculous, over the top, crazy story in the vein of like Invader Zim and Giant Homicide.
Yeah, I think again we could say it a bunch of times, but yeah, just keep on doing what you guys are doing because everything it's making stuff fun again, and it's exciting to go to the store. Guys, we're gonna get out of here in a second, but we did have one question I saw in the chat from Wyatt Eastman. Says, so is there a hero or title that is representative of the heaven side of the battle in the Spawn world? And is Sam and Twitch the title designed to give the outsider point of view to the show, or to show how everything goes down? Thank you.
So I don't really think, I mean, truthfully, even Spawn, I don't think represents the Hell Spawns. You know, people kind of forget the Hell Spawns were the generals of Hell. The fact that some of them rebelled, they're the minority of them. You know, all of the other Hell Spawns, like Raven Spawns, for example, he doesn't show up a lot, but he's been in Hell Spawn. He's the guy that embraced, like, no, I'm a murder for Hell. I'm the general. I'm the death dealer. But like Al and his companions are kind of the minorities between them. And I haven't seen a lot of talk about it, but Scorch has been going on long enough that I can kind of point this out. When we came up with the idea of Scorch, it was just literally Todd and I who we put on this team. So Al Simmons to become Spawn, he dies, goes to Hell, makes a deal with the devil, Mel Bolger, whatever you want to say, comes back. Now you work for me. Here's some restrictions. But overall, you do what I say. And he was able to kind of outplay Malbolgia. And so he exists as a Hellspawn right now. Arguably, he's depowered, but he has arguably limitless power now at this point in time. But if you look at the Scorched, people are like, well, how are they doing this? None of them are normal Hellspawns or angels.
Right.
So Jessica didn't die and make a deal and come back. When Nyx got shot in the head and died, she transferred that power to her. Redeemer is obviously a Redeemer, but there's been plenty of clues to denote he's not normal and he's not really from this time, but we don't really know his full true origin. We are getting there. Reaper was a full Redeemer. And then I think in around 304, 305, actually leading up to 301, Al pulls him into the Dark Zone and releases Heaven's power over him. So he went from being a Redeemer to Reaper.
Gotcha.
Gunslinger, same thing. People all the time will go, well, wait, that's Jeremiah Winston. I don't understand why he's called Javi right now. And he was an evil guy. It's like, is it though? No, it's not Jeremiah Winston. And that's one of those pieces. It's not continuity that we ignored or changed. You guys just haven't gotten the full story yet. And if you want the full story of what Gunslinger is all about and who he is, read Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger by Jimmy Palmiotti.
There you go.
Reynolds, and you will get that full origin. But again, like Todd writes him a lot. He says, he's the weakest of the spawns. There's a reason behind that. He is, again, not really a true Hellspawn in the way of how Al became a Hellspawn.
Gotcha.
So that whole group is kind of like the oddballs and the misfits of their kind of group. So if we're talking about like who's the representative of heaven in the Spawn world, I mean, it's going to be either Reaper or Redeemer, but neither one of them work for heaven because in our universe, heaven's just as evil as hell. They just have better marketing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. So they're all kind of, I think, really more fighting for humanity than anything else.
No, that's awesome. And thank you, Mike, for the question. We appreciate it. Guys, before we get out of here, just this is the first hour of the comic block. Coming up next is a show we call Appreciating Comic Book Art Live. We're going to be looking at X-Men 25 on there with all the excitement of the X-Men 97 series. And we saw that they did the version of the Fatal Attractions. We want to dive into it and give you guys a look at where that inspiration all came from. before we get out of here, we got to do just a little bit of shilling on here. We have books out. We are creators. This is Sean's book, Type 1. Sean, very quickly. Very
quickly. An action-adventure tale with real-life implications. If you like the Creatures of the Night type of vibe that Spawn has, I have the 9 Lords of Night from the Mayan Aztec lore. It's not just a bright, shiny, bubbly book. It gets pretty dark and deep. And don't be a bum. Back Type 1. It's my pitch.
Yes, I love it. I don't even have a pitch for mine. This is what I do. I pull up my book and I say, please back it because I'm good looking. That's all it should be. This is my book, Reaper Destroyer. We actually, let me refresh this because we hit 71K over the weekend.
Nice.
There we go. 7145. Look at that. We are 1,200 backers too, right on the dot. Hell yes. Hell yes. We'll talk about that more in the next show. I just sent in the final edits to Eric Weathers, who is doing the lettering on it. So hopefully we're going to get that back at some point soon and we can go send that to print. This is just my ode to the dark heroes of the 90s that I love. It's not a 90s book as far as style of writing. If you love Spawn, you're going to love this book, but it's not a Spawn ripoff. It has a very unique story within it, basically about a man who's trapped inside the supernatural suit of armor inhabited by the ancient spirit of death, and they're forced to work together to basically save the world. So we're going to check that out when this drops. Hopefully in the next couple months, I can get this out to everybody that backed the book. Some fantastic names on this that are working with me. I'm doing the art, but we also have Joe Weems doing some inkings, Bat Banning doing some inking, Marla Quiza doing some inking, Dave Kemp doing the majority of the colors, who jumped on, one of the Kemp brothers, veterans of the industry, absolutely knocking it out of the park. So check it out. Links are down below. That's the shilling we do on this show. We'll probably do more on the next show. But Thomas, thank you so much for coming on and talking Spawn. This has been a hell of a fun show. I think you shared some a little bit behind the scenes stuff, some of the things we didn't know about, gave us things to look forward to. And again, I mean, we'd love to have you on the show again because it's just we've been really enjoying talking Spawn lately. So this made our night. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, good deal, man. It's always a good time. Thank you very much for having me. I hope any of the viewers got some bits of information, and hopefully you guys can share. You can share and help proselytize all of the new stuff that the Spawn universe has got coming down the pipe. Because again, it's trying to give you value for the money. We're not just looking to create a new Marvel universe. We want to make sure everything that we do is expanding and elaborating on the universe that the fans love.
Hell yeah. Guys, be on the lookout for the Violator miniseries. There's going to be coming out soon. Rat City 2 just dropped, and Spawn 353 came out, I believe, last week. We will be talking about that next week on the Spawn review, so be there for that. Wednesday, we have Steve Furkow on Ott and Stuff, so check that out as well. We're going to get out of here. Thomas, hang around for just a little bit after we end the show. Chat, we love you guys. Thank you for being here. We got 137 people watching over on X. So shout out to the X-Sites. We love you all over there. Very cool. Growing there fairly fast, and we love it. So, all right, guys, we'll see you on the next show. The comic book art, appreciating comic book art live next. I'll just say this as I always do. Be good to each other. Take care of one another. And as always, picture me naked. Talk to y'all later. Peace.
What the hell are you? Spawn. Me to hell, Jason. I'm here to return the favor. I'm feeling strange, trapped in the grave.